What's going on, guys? It's your Backwoods Bogan here. So today we're back at our main property and going to do a bit of an introductory video on my newest silly purchase. Now, this is one of those things where I didn't need it, but the price was just too good to say no to it. And I really do think it's going to come in handy at the property. So let's go over my new 8 to 10 ton wobbly crane. All right, now this is her. It's a 1981 Chamberlain tractor. So they were built here in WA, Australia. Almost kind of co-owned by John Deere. So it has a John Deere 4-cylinder engine in it. I think they make about 84 horsepower or something like that, or 64 horsepower. Now, I think they were made up to about 86 or 88. And then John Deere actually pretty much bought Chamberlain out, shut the factory down in WA and started importing John Deeres to Australia. But that is the base of it right there, is just a tractor. Now then BHB, which is BHB Engineers, you can see her up there, 8 to 10 ton, all the plate right there, bought the tractors brand new. And what they did is they removed the front axle out of them, installed a turntable right up underneath here, and then from there built their crane frame, put a front axle at the front of it, beefed up the hydraulic system, removed all the 3-point linkage and PTO from the rear, put a big weight box in the rear. They also slapped on some cast rims on it. So these rims weigh a fair bit just themselves. Water-filled tyres to obviously put a bit of extra weight in it as well. And then through the boom on the front. So this boom extends pretty much that length again, then goes up relatively high. Now, they are interesting. I mean, you can't find much information on them, and there's not many really left running in Australia. But this thing, believe it or not, runs, drives, all the hydraulics work, front lights, horn, absolutely everything works on it. Tyres are getting a bit old. There's a few weeping rams and things like that, which I'm not too worried about. I mean, it's almost a crime the price I bought this thing for. I practically got this thing for the price of getting it floated here. So it was almost a free machine. They really just need to get it off site. They're a commercial premises, and obviously this thing is not certified anymore. So therefore, to them, this thing was almost warranted useless. But to me, this thing could do wonders. So, I mean, I've got to build a shed off these shipping containers behind here. This thing is going to help me lift up all the A-frames to get it all built. Yeah, hoping to maybe float this to Backwoods, our other property, our abandoned property. I mean, we've got a few bridges we've got to realistically build over the seasonal creek to actually get to where we want to build the main structure of the property. Between that, I may build a log cabin, and this thing will help me lift all the timber and logs up to the heights that I want. Going to do a big entrance gate. This thing will help me lift the main beam up the top of it. There's plenty of things this thing can do. But realistically, it is huge. It is a giant paperweight here. It's a bit too big for this property. Going to cost me a fortune to float this all the way up to Backwoods. So whether I do or I don't, I'm a bit up in the air at the moment. I mean, obviously, I've got the 4-tonner still. That thing will do most of the work I need. So realistically, do I need this? Yeah, I think I do. But, I mean, it weighs 11 tons, so to float it, it's going to be a semi. But I just don't know yet. It may also go up for swaps and trades for potentially a skid steer with a flail on the front of it. So I can do a bit of mulching on the property, get rid of all the trees. Or it'll just go up there and live its life. And for the price I got it, I could drive this thing into the ground, pretty much sell this for scrap, and still make a profit. So there's not really too much I can lose out on it. I mean, you can see here, Engine's in relatively good nick. There's no realistically bad leaks or anything like that. There's a bit of oil weeping around the actual turntable itself. But, you know, that could be years and years of grease too. This is an 81 model. There's a bit of rust in the guards and whatnot. Not too overly worried about that. Bit of rust up on the top here as well. Once again, not too worried. Guards again. All the chassis in a solid state. I mean, it's like 15mm thick steel. I don't see that thing dying anytime soon. This guard's the same, pretty eaten out. But all the main structure is all there. There's a few little pits on the main arm. Am I really worried? Not particularly. I mean, it's a little bit of pitting, but it's thick steel, and for what I'm going to use it for, what's it really matter? I mean, if the thing snaps with a log on it, then whoopity-doo-dah. I'll send it to scrap. So we'll jump up in it and we'll get it started. Alrighty. So we're sitting in the cockpit now. Lights on, keys on. And off she goes. Blows a little bit of smoke. It was rebuilt a few years ago. All the turning works. You can see it articulating in the middle. We'll go put the boom up. So that there's boom almost at full reach. You go a little bit further, but I'm just about to tap my power line there, so I won't go any further at this stage. But you can quite clearly see there that it's got a bloody ton of reach. The rams on this thing are massive. So I'll bring it down and I'll put the boom out. Unfortunately, got to buy a bit more hydraulic oil, so putting the boom out with those rams out just isn't enough hydraulic oil in it at the moment. Well, there you go. Doesn't have enough hydraulic oil. So she has a sheet ton of reach. This thing could be rather handy. Certainly reaches over my two-story house's roof. Obviously wouldn't put it over the roof, but this goes to show how big the reach really is on this thing. Right. We'll run the extension back in. We'll bring the boom down. Bit of revs always helps. So yeah, those two spotlights on the front work, flasher on the roof works, horn works. All the air brakes work. So this tractor is actually based, it's a 3-speed gearbox with reverse, with then a high-low range splitter. So essentially a 6-speed. Now, whether you'd use the high range on this thing is really anyone's guess. I personally don't think I would. You can see here that the axle base itself has a portal. So the axle actually comes out above center on the tyre, and then it has a portal that goes down then to a drive that then drives the tyre. Kind of like what I guess Humvee's design like, but obviously just a tractor. So yeah, she is a rather interesting machine. It has all the other little things like you got a degree weight or angle of boom measurement right there. So as you lean your boom, obviously this bends around and tells you the exact degree of angle that you're at. Now from there, you've got measurements on the boom itself that tell you how far out you've extended and what your weight capability is. Now, from there, BHB actually gave you a chart here. Now, it's only a reference chart. It's not exact. Obviously, you still want to be cautious with what you're doing. But this shows you your lifting capabilities at what extension and what height. So as you go up and your boom's more vertical above you, then you can actually lift more with the top of the boom. So you could have it pulled in, lift say 2 ton, and then push out and have more capabilities right out at the furthest reach while it's up high than what you realistically do if you bring that boom halfway back down. So it is something you've got to be careful about when you're actually using these wobbly cranes. They do have a potential of tipping still. So you just got to be really cautious. It's good to see that it still has that plate in, because that plate will come handy for someone like me who doesn't know what they're doing. So you can see here basically that it's still a tractor in the rear. 35 psi for the rear tyres. They're practically just ag tyres with cast rims filled with water. But you can tell how solid the rim is. You've got huge lifting points to actually lift the rim to change any tyres on it. Where the front tyres are more machinery based. So 100 psi pressure in the front tyres. And they're more of like a front end loader style tyre, not an agricultural tyre. Other than that, the only other interesting things about it is obviously they had to beef the brakes up from it being a tractor. You know, I mean, obviously tractor brakes are just not going to cut it when you've got 11 ton with all this crane frame and ballast weight in it. So they've had to upgrade to air brakes on it. So there's an aftermarket, obviously, air tank installed, and then an aftermarket bracket set up on here with an air compressor. And this air compressor is oil fed. So it's oil fed off the same spot where the pressure gauge runs to. Then from there, drains at the bottom of the air compressor back into the sump of the John Deere motor, which is just a bit interesting. The only bad thing about it is I guess that compressor is getting pretty old. I could probably get a new one for it. I did look them up and they are available. But you can see here that the rings in the compressor are probably shot. As you release the air and water that's supposed to be sitting in the bottom of the tank, it's actually black oil. So clearly that oil feed line that's going to this compressor, we're pushing oil past the piston and dropping it down into the actual air tank itself instead of going back out the drain into the motor. Not a big deal, not too worried. Like I said, for the price, really can't complain. You can see here where they bolted an aftermarket hydraulic system to the side of the tractor base. This roof was obviously put on by BHP Engineering as well, all designed as a part of the crane system. Now, underneath the seat, which this is the standard way that the seat of the BHP, not the BHP, the Chamberlain tractors were. There's the diesel tank there. In front of the diesel tank, they've put the big brake reservoir, and then your air brake tank is sitting right there. Or air brake cylinder, sorry. Got the strap box in the front. Huge disc brakes on it. They're absolutely massive. Twin caliper. So you've got a second caliper down the bottom there. Same as this side, twin caliper. One here, one there. But just one unique piece of machinery. You really don't see them often anymore. And I'm really hard up on whether I'll get rid of it or whether I'll keep it. I mean, now I've got it, and for the price that we did get it for, I mean, the options are pretty much limitless on what you can do with it. I mean, being 11 ton, I could bloody tie a chain to a tree and tie a chain to the end of this thing, and I could pull it through the block and clear a big section of land at once if I really was that keen. I mean, I probably won't use it for that. I'll probably use it for its intended purposes, and that's crane work and crane work only. But, I mean, look, I was about to buy jack-off legs for the canopy on the back of my cruiser here. Now, just for the jack-off legs alone, I was probably a third, maybe a quarter of the price off how much the jack-off legs cost to how much I bought the crane for. So realistically, even if I only used the crane to lift the canopy off my cruiser, I still got a relatively good deal. I mean, obviously there's always things I can use it for. It's never going to be endless. I mean, I'm replacing the seals in a hydraulic ram on the excavator at the moment, and even just to be able to take the pressure off that boom and lift it up a little bit is handy. I've got all these shipping containers I've got to shift around at times to re-gravel underneath them so that I can actually build. This is going to be handy again. I've also got a spa bath out the back of the house that I've got to move up onto the deck at some stage. Once again, can use it. Want to build a big entrance at the top of the property. Once again, can use it. So it's a hard one to get rid of. But at the same time, do I really need it? Now, some would say I've probably got a bit of a problem the way I purchase machinery and anything with a motor in it. But at the end of the day, if the price is right, why would you say no? I mean, if you think you can make money on it, if you think that it's worth it just for the scrap, why wouldn't you buy it? Now, I've got a mate of mine who's fairly into his hydraulics, owned a hydraulic business at one stage in his career, and the ram in the top of this here is about as long as this boom is. Now, that's about 14 feet, 15 feet. Now, that boom alone is about as thick as my thigh, and being a 14-foot boom, it's going to be like roughly a $2,000 boom itself. So even secondhand, people are going to buy those hydraulics just for the sheer fact of the size and the condition they're in. I could scrap it, plus get rid of parts off it, and make an absolutely killing. The closest one that I've found to this is I found exactly a 1982, so 1 year newer than this, Chamberlain BHB crane. Has no rust in it. That's the only difference. Still originally factory yellow, immaculate condition compared to this one. So yeah, I mean, it's got a little bit more going for it, but they're asking 28 grand for it. So 28 grand compared to the float cost to get it to my property. That's how much it cost me. I think I've done pretty good on this one, and I just don't think I can lose out. So I figured, why not? Why not? Even if it's just to play cranes, it was worth the money. But that is her. So let me know what you guys think. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And hope to see you on the next one.